What life lesson did you learn that you will never forget, and when did you learn it?
My dad taught me as a teenager that relationships should be easy. Biggest and best lesson I've ever learned. Relationships should not be filled with drama but with friendship and respect. Really helped me choose who to be with. Now I teach my daughters the same thing so maybe they can prevent being in a painful relationship.
My best friend passed away a few years ago and I learned 2 life lessons. Never keep people in your life if they don't love and respect you as much as you do them. Never take for granted the time you spend with the people you keep. It could be over any day.
You don't ever truly know another person. Unless you can take up residence in their head, you'll never be privy to their true nature. Learned this through the process of growing up and losing friends, SOs. It's not always malicious, sometimes you latch onto the idea of a person rather than who they are. It'll eventually drive you apart while you realize that there is incongruity between who they are and who you think they are.
If you're right but you're obnoxious about it, people won't see you as the good guy. Took me until the end of grad school to figure that one out.
Some people, most people, have families who love them and support them. But some people don't, and they don't know that it's terrible because it's just normal for them. It took me 32 years of life, 4 years working with severely traumatized children and 2 years of therapy to realize that I too was traumatized from day one.
Don't say dumb beep on the internet. Still working on it.
Learn to pick your battles wisely. Some things just are not worth fighting.
You don't like everybody, so don't worry about everybody liking you, of course. Be respectful to everyone you meet. But don't bend over backwards to please all of them.
You'll never be able to please everyone, so don't make your life revolve around being accepted by everyone.
It is better to be alone than to be surrounded by those that hate you. Lesson I learned, though I would rather ignore it, but it might help someone else.
When I was about 9 years old, I used to bully a lad in my class. I felt like a tough guy because he was bigger than me. I bullied him because he came from a poor family, but I'd always had a wealthy family. Until I was around 9 years old. My dad's alcoholism escalated and cost him his job and destroyed our family. I bullied that lad out of anger because of what I was going through, and then one day he beat the beep out of me. Our head teacher, principal, made us sit outside his office for a whole day together, just the 2 of us. I quickly realized how much I upset him and we became friends.
Most people's moral integrity isn't nearly as bulletproof as they believe it is. And often, through no fault of their own. We all have certain vulnerabilities that can make us do or say things we had previously thought were below us. Whether it be trauma, desperation, loneliness, etc.
People treating you poorly is a reflection on them, not you. My brother taught me this after I got dumped when I was 16 and my best friend banged my ex the next day.
Not everyone at work is and wants to be your friend, some just pretend and then beep you over. Learned that doing my apprenticeship and found the same beep in almost every other company I worked for so far.
Somehow my parents imparted to me life was a pie. If somebody got some, I got less. That if I wasn't doing something impressive or winning at something, I was failing. I thought the way to be valuable and get people to like me was to achieve more, prove how smart I was, and one-up them. You can imagine how that goes over. When people predictably didn't like that, I thought it was because I wasn't achieving enough or seeming smart or talented enough, so I'd get even worse. It's hard to undo such an ingrained mindset and to admit shortcomings and share vulnerability, but the gradual life lesson has been not to try to impress people, not to be ashamed of your true imperfect self, but to listen to people, share with them, and be open, honest, and vulnerable.
Always make time for loved ones. Time is not on your side. I learned this, too late, after my grandma died. I was always working or studying and said, next week I am going to visit grandma, next week I'll give her a call, next week. I saw her at the family gatherings like birthdays and such if I was able to make them, but that's still different than going by her house and spend time together. The moments I did that, it was nice and we laughed, so there wasn't a reason to not visit grandma. Always sweet, and even when I was in the 30s she gave me a bag of candy when I left. One year I was too busy, read selfish, and hadn't visited for months. I wasn't aware it has been months, that was after I checked how long ago it was. September was the last visit and in December she passed away. I couldn't make time for 3 months. Not a single day I could spare a few hours to visit cause career, and I'll go next week. This is more than 10 years ago and it still haunts me at times. She was always understanding and be like, yeah, I know you youngsters are busy and need to work hard and don't have it as easy as we. Even though she went through World War II and needed to walk 2 provinces for food, she considered that they had the easy life. I always thought I had enough time when I was done with insert something here. But always something else turned up. Next week I'll go, was the worst thing I had told myself, and I wished I spent way more time with grandma. It made me change everything. I now only work 3 days a week and spend the rest of the time on my family and friends. Make sure to give regular calls and make sure I can be at whatever is needed. Sure, working 5 days a week and having more money for fun is nice, but a bigger car or a bigger house or another vacation does not bring back time. Do I need a Range Rover 4x4 that costs 8 times the price of a Ford Fiesta? Do I need a house with 8 bedrooms? Do I need time? Yes. Time is all I wanted. Time is what we get in limited quantity. You can try and make changes in spending less or make more money. But you can't make more time. There is 24 hours in a day. Spend them wisely and don't think others have the same time left as you. The biggest lie I told myself was that I didn't have the time. I had the time, I just managed it badly. My grandma was 89, so she was on borrowed time, but it could as well be my wife who I take out for dinner next week, but gets ill or an accident. You don't know what it is you have until it's gone. Edit. Wow, thanks for the awards and all the nice replies. Even though I changed my life, I went to bed pretty sad after I wrote this, but this lifted my spirit. Happy it helps some of you and hope you all get to spend the time you want.
That my mental illness/disorder is not my fault. But it is my responsibility to maintain.
Lesson learned. Don't step on random wood scraps during a renovation or you will end up with a nail in your foot. Date learned. 3 hours ago. Frowning face.
Time is the most valuable resource on the planet.
A shoe that pinches will always hurt you. Essentially meaning don't revisit past relationships.
Don't become a walking charity. When I was in my early to mid-20s, I had a lot of friends who were falling on hard times or needed various types of help. And I was only too happy to help. I had the money, I had the time, I would do anything for them. Not one of them repaid, financially, or otherwise. Instead, I was just taken advantage of, left, right and center. It all ended when I suggested a friend of mine who broke up with their partner and had no place to live come stay with me. Next thing I knew, they were inviting their friends over all the time, often without my permission. They weren't contributing a penny to the income of the household. Their new partner soon moved in, and my house basically became a doss house. And they became a mean-spirited, emotionally abusive asshole who made my life miserable in my own home. Now, I offer advice only. If you need financial support, you can go to the council. If you need housing, you can go to the council. If you want me to provide either of those things, you can bugger off.
You can't fix another person no matter how long you stay with them. They have to want to treat you better and want to be better themselves. And going back to them only makes them think you'll stay no matter what they do to you. Prove them wrong.
The world is not changed by your opinion, it is changed by your example.
Everyone is facing a battle you know nothing about.
I was doing forced landing practice in the training area in a Cessna 152 Aerobat with my instructor. On the way back to land, he asked me this question. What will you do if the engine catches fire? I looked at him and said, jump out. He said, no, you just control the plane, you yell the plane to get the fire away from the cockpit, and just keep flying. You forget about the fire, and do what is within your control. I looked at him, stunned, and said, that's be profound, Steve. I promptly took that advice and applied it to every aspect of my life. Don't worry about things that are outside your control.
You can be the most competent, hardest working, most dedicated employee in a company, but the promotions are most likely to go to the people who have made a personal connection with the boss. I learned that at my first job, and it's been true ever since. It's why I'll never homeschool my kids. I could give them a much better academic background, but the interpersonal skills they develop in school will benefit them more.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to subscribe to Upvote for the best quality content every day.